Aloha, namaste. This is Radha, and I'm here to talk about Mars's shift into Taurus. This shift began yesterday on the 12th of July and is lasting until August 26th. So this is roughly a month and a half that we have this planet of our courage, our action, our anger, and our sense of discipline in the sign of Taurus, which is Venus's earthy sign. We've been talking about Taurus a lot with Jupiter being there, and he's joining Jupiter. This is a place where we're more grounded in our bodily pleasure, our needs, and also our wants, our desires. The sign of Taurus really has a lot to do with taking care of our being, of our physical body here on Earth. And Mars, if was just in Aries, where it's his own sign, and there's fire meeting fire, and we have all this courage, and we have all this discipline, and we have maybe a way to channel our anger. In Taurus, what happens is that Mars slows down a lot. Our sense of action slows way down. Our fire to do something slows way down, and we end up kind of plodding along a little more. Maybe stopping to smell the roses, maybe stopping for a snack or something to eat, and really prioritizing pleasure and beauty over getting the thing done and getting to an end so that we can start a new beginning, which is the Aries cycle. And so we might feel some frustration come up when we're not, staying on routine. Like perhaps our routine gets a little wonky or a little bit lazy, or we change it up a little bit. Perhaps we, stop a lot for breaks in whatever we're doing, or like I said, stop for a snack. We might prioritize connecting with others because, of course, Taurus is ruled by Venus. And even though it's not quite as social as Libra, her other sign, there is still a quality of wanting to connect with others, really, in order to receive that pleasure and desire quality for oneself. And so Mars here can really amp that up, and we can become very passionate because, Taurus has that quality of sensuality, and Mars is where we can be very passionate and very fiery. So this can really, enhance our love lives and our romantic life and our romantic fire. And it might create some disconnect for you or discord within you over your own personal practices and discipline, and even maybe some projects or things that you've been working on that you felt really fired up about, you might go kind of fizzle out a little bit. But Taurus is a finisher. Aries is a starting sign, and Taurus has this quality of being fixed and doing something to the end. It's just a lot slower. And with Saturn also retrograde now and everything slowing way down, we can see how everything might just seem to take a lot longer. So one of the things that can happen is we can get a little angry, just like the bull. Taurus is the bull, right? And we're all happy and everything's fine and good until suddenly somebody's waving a red flag in front of you and taunting you. And it's like, and in the case of Taurus, this can sometimes just be as simple as, keeping one from their food, or in some way disrupting that peace and that quality of serenity and ease and grace and comfort that has been so carefully cultivated. And so all of a sudden, we turn on a dime and roar at somebody, but not roar, whatever bulls do, ram them with their horns. That's what they do. Um, but the good thing is there's always this really easy way to kind of shift that energy. There's food, there's doing something that feels good, taking a bath, taking a walk, uh, having sex, doing something that feels like it's going to bring pleasure to the body and help ground us again, bring us back into our body. And so or even just that desire to connect, and coming together and having a good conversation or something like that with someone can be a source of mitigation of these like sudden bursts of Taurian anger that can come out when the bull is taunted. And so, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick. I know the beautiful fairy crown that I'm wearing is, um, my son put this on me, and I was like, I'm just going to do my video with this on, because why not? It's more beautiful. It's more beautiful to be a fairy. So this is the chart of when Mars first moved into Taurus. So this was yesterday. I was flying on airplanes, so I wasn't able to make the video, but we can see it's at 0 degrees here, and this is at 8:30 a.m. And I have, just to throw things even more into a loop, the Texas time zone, which is an hour later than Pacific time zone. I was looking this up for a friend, and it just stayed there. um, so we have Mars joining Jupiter through the star of Krittika, and Krittika is at the end of Aries, beginning of Taurus. And it's actually the story of Krittika, which is also known as the Pleiades, is really the birth of Mars himself. It is ruled by Agni, the god of fire. And in the story, and I've told this story recently, so I'm not going to get too in detail. There's this sort of jealousy that occurs, where Agni falls in love with the sages' wives, and the seven sages are, sitting around his fire, right? And he's admiring their wives. And this nymph falls in love with him, and she creates all this mishap with her, with her trickery. And Mars, which in this case in the story it's Kartikeya, who's the son of Shiva and Parvati, but in the story you can see he's also the son of all these other beings like Agni and like Bhumdevi, the earth goddess, and Ma Ganga, and the Pleiades, the wives of the sages. And so there's this very different quality when we move into the Taurus part of Krittika, because it's now the container of fire. When Kartikeya is first born, it's like, it's like Shiva's seed meets Agni's seed. Um, you know, 6 times Agni's seed in this cauldron, in this lake, and it just bursts up as this howling red child that no one knows what to do with and they're all fearful of. But then the wives of the sages who've been cast off by their husbands decide to nurture the child. They're told actually to poison their breast milk and kill him because he's too much. And the gods are like, we can't deal with this. We'll find another way to beat this demon. But they decide to nurture him instead. And when we move into the Taurus part, you can see this cauldron of earth that like contains our fire. And so the early part of it, we might not feel so much of the lazy quality that Taurus can bring on. When Mars moves into Rohini, which is where Jupiter is, we'll see, let's see, 26, it hasn't quite moved there. A little bit before this, it moved into Rohini. Let's see. Okay, we'll just go with the 30th. It might be later on the day on the 29th. Mars is now in Rohini, and this is where we really might see a lot of that passion, that sensuality. Krittika has to do with like separation of the wives from their husbands. There's this quality of really only pure, enduring love that's so trusting and devoted that it lasts. Whereas in Rohini, there's this very lustful quality and this magnetic quality, this playful, childlike quality. And this is when we can get very into the fun of Mars and Taurus, where we are playful and where we are enjoying ourselves. And the proximity to Jupiter is going to increase the part of us that wants to reach for something higher in what we're doing, where it's not just kind of about passion and pleasure, but it's also about connecting that to our beliefs and our ideals and that which we think is true in this world and what inspires us. Of course, for each of us, it's going to be a different place in our chart, and there's going to be different areas of our life that are raised by this and different ways in which they're uniting, they're making these yogas. So I do these reports for my Patreon group for all 12 signs, and I show what Mars and Taurus is for your sign. And so you can see that by going onto my Patreon group, patreon.com, Radha Home Astrology, and I do the breakdown for the week of all the transits. But this past week, I did the one with Mars and Taurus. So even though I didn't do this video yet, the members of my Patreon group did get that update on what it's going to mean for them for the next month and a half. And for all of us, it's a shift, right? It's moving from one house to another. It's not just Aries to Taurus. For me, it's my 12th house to my first house. That's a big difference. So you can see what it is for you too, and also other updates for other things that are going on. And I will see you soon. Namaste.